beautifuls, this is Aromie here. Welcome back to Seduce Me 2. And it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while since I actually played this because I'm back from vacation and everything, and all I remember was Damien was drunk and we're taking advantage of it. I'm pretty sure we're taking advantage of it, right? Right? I don't know. He released my hand, allowing me to wrap my arms around his neck as he pressed himself harder against my body, pinning me up to the wall with his chest and hips. His own hand traveled to my hips and lifted me further on the walls, his fingers dancing over the skin beneath my shirt. As shudders ran through my body, the throbbing he set in my core began to consume me, filling me with a heated need for him. Damien became the only thing I was able to think about, the only person I let in my thoughts, the only demon I let take all of my body, mind, and soul. Damien slowly began to drag his kisses down my cheek and onto my neck, rolling the clothes covering my chest up over my skin and making me lift my arms up off of Damien's shoulder. I was confused for a second. He pulled away once just to pull the articles of clothing off of me, leaving me completely nude above the waist. The cool air that rushed against my skin made me quake a bit in Damien's arms, but only spurred him to lick and nip over my skin. It's pretty awkward to read. Alright, a hot moan ran through my lips at the feeling. This was indeed a starving demon enjoying a feast of energy, growling happily at the sound of my moans and tightening his grip at the feeling of my shivering body. Something like this was addicting and wildly erotic, something I didn't ever get to experience before. I slightly feared of becoming needy for it, but I let the thought dissipate, with his hands caressing my body hotly.
I need you so much.
And at this point, I totally forgot there was voice acting, and that just gave me goosebumps. But yeah, me too, Damien. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is like using him because he's drunk, but he's also using us for energy. His voice raked enormous shivers down my spine, making me roll my eyes to the back of my head and press my head into the wall behind me. I barely felt him removing the remainder of our clothes, leaving us bare against each other. Truthfully, I couldn't have cared less where we made love, against the wall, on the floor, on the bed. It didn't matter to me. I just needed him. Blame the enthronement or blame my own selfish perversion, and it mattered little to me the difference between. The night became filled with heavy pants and moans. Whenever we made love, it was deep, slow, and romantic, me and Damien. However, tonight was rough, beast-like, and almost carnal. The new feelings within me drove me mad with each moan I released and each gasp for air I took in. This was new, and I loved it. As we rocked through a simultaneously climax, the draining of my energy sent my mind into a misty frenzy, taking over my body and completely wrapping myself around Damien as he held me closer still. The sound of his hot breath in my ears sent shivers down my body, even as we slowly coasted towards a brilliantly deserved afterglow. His arm around me cradled me against his warm chest as we inhaled and exhaled in perfect sync. That was...
Yeah.
Yep. We just did some crazy stuff. I looked up at Damien, seeing him stare up into the ceiling. His eyes had returned to normal, but his expression was slightly enigmatic. What was on his mind? Feeling my gaze on him, Damien looked down and smiled, kissing over my forehead.
I hope I didn't hurt you.
Nope, not at all. I shook my head and cuddled close to Damien, nuzzling his chest lovingly. It was amazing. Damien nodded before holding me close and falling into a well-deserved sleep, with me following quickly after. The morning slowly rose, with me waking up to Damien's sleeping face. As I slowly sat up, I felt the ache of the morning wreck through me, demanding that I go back to sleep. However, I knew better. I knew that the day had to continue forward and that I had to wake up. Still seeing Damien fast asleep made me feel a bit relieved. He certainly needed the sleep after the night before. A very faint knock rapped at the door, causing me to look up and see Diana enter with 2 plates of warm food. As she stepped in, she looked at me and tilted her head.
Up again before him?
I nodded and rubbed the back of my neck, grinning a bit. I guess I've gotten used to the demon world time. Diana laughed a bit before placing the food she held on the table nearby and crossed her arms.
I see. Well, if you could, please wake Damien up. I have something I must speak to you two about.
Alright. Oh, what is it? Diana grimaced and looked away from me, staring at the ground and avoiding my gaze.
It would be best if both of you heard my news. Please, just wake him up.
I nodded and looked down at Damien, seeing him slightly stir against my body before I placed my hands on his shoulder and kissed his cheek. Damien, wake up. Kiss his cheek again. I giggled a bit and kissed his cheek again, nuzzling his temple with my nose. Come on, Diana's here and wants to talk to us. Damien stirred a bit more, finally opening his eyes and yawning from being awoken. As he looked up at me, I smiled down at him, earning a tired smile back. Morning.
Morning.
Damien slowly sat up, stretching his arm over his head before shaking his head and looking to Diana, taking in that she was in the room.
Good morning.
Damien only nodded before leaning back against the bedpost, relaxing against them as he looked to me. I turned my head to Diana and gestured for her to speak. So, what is it? Diana looked down at the floor, trying to find the answer in the wooden grain. I became more curious as to what Diana was about to reveal the longer the silence in the air lingered. What was the important news she had to say? When Diana formulated her answer, she looked up at me and Damien, taking in a breath.
I may have found a way to perform a reverse ritual.
A what? Diana ran her hands through her hair and locked her gaze to me, obviously more comfortable with speaking to me than to my fiancé.
Long ago, when this world was forged, there was a human named Lilith who was transformed into a demon and was brought to this world. It had been known ever since that any human who wished to be a demon, or is punished to be one, can very much become one.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, are you saying that... Diana nodded slowly, bringing her hands to her stomach and fiddling over her fingers.
It took me some sleepless nights, but I do believe I can perform a reverse ritual, which would in essence turn a demon into a human.
My heart stopped. It was possible now?
How are you sure?
I could hear the twinge of sour strain in Damon's voice. He was right to be skeptical. After all, she had failed to return him human before. What was to say that this wasn't going to be a failure as well? Diana shook her head and lowered her hands to her sides.
I'm not. Nothing like this has ever been done before, and it could be risky. Hell, you could even die from this.
What? Then let's not do it. Yeah? Let's not do it? I instantly stood up from the bed, making Diana turn her gaze at me in shock. This could kill Damien? There was no way in hell I was gonna go through with this if she was suggesting such a thing. Then, what are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that it's an option. A risky one, but an option nonetheless.
I don't know. Diana turned her eyes to Damien, seeing him straighten up in the bed, and gazed back at her with a serious expression.
I know that what I did back then was wrong. My intent was to make you as human as possible, but there was no method to even do that until now. If this works, you will become human. I swear on my family name.
Oh, she's being serious, Damien. Interject, stay silent. She's talking to Damien, though. Gotta be quiet. It wasn't my place to speak or not. This whole situation was dangerous, but it was ultimately up to Damien. To be human or to be demon, that was something he had to decide. Yeah, it's not my choice. It's his choice at the end of the day. I can't. Yeah. I loved Damien no matter what. I looked over at Damien and watched him look back over to me, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. I could tell that what he wanted, but would he ask me anything? Would I have a say?
Why wouldn't you have a say?
Before my eyes, the world around me froze, and I was shut in a room of darkness, everything barely tinted in shadow. What? I looked around, feeling stuck to my spot, as a dark laughter echoed around the room.
It would be so selfish of him to become human without considering your feelings first. Wouldn't you agree?
No. What do you want now?
I'm just stating what's deep in your heart. Nothing more.
What do you mean?
Don't tell me I have to spell it out, dear. Damien turning human? He'd lose all of his powers. He'd be worthless, weak, and simple.
So I'm worthless, weak, and simple because I'm a human? But what if it's what he wants?
Do you even know what he wants?
Nope. The memory of my wedding day flashed before my eyes. The voice was telling the truth. Did I really know what Damien wanted? Was anything he wanted for the best? The voice chuckled deeply, a relaxation settling into my core.
Now you're getting it.
I remained silent, now lost once again. What was best? What if turning Damien human meant destroying who he was? I became trapped in an endless cycle of questions and confusion as the voice finally vanished, and let the world continue on its journey forward in time.
You do not have to decide now, but I will be awaiting your answer if you do wish to try.
Thank you.
Diana nodded before leaving the room, most likely to prepare for the day. Damien and I stood in silence, me lost from the voice in my head, and Damien lost in his own thoughts. What were we supposed to do? The option was now on the table, but instead of Diana sleeping with Damien, there was a chance that Damien could lose his life. I wasn't sure where I stood on the issue, but I didn't like the options I was given before and now. Was it better to just leave Damien to Damien? Damien? Was it worth dying to become human? The voice in my head teased me, prodding me to convince Damien to think against himself, but my heart knew that the choice was his alone. As I looked to him, I could see the conflict in his eyes while he stood and took up both of the breakfast plates Diana made for us. He walked to me at last and handed me one. Looking into my eyes and locking our gazes on each other, was he going to ask me? Was he going to keep the choice to himself?
Selfish.
No. I'm not selfish. I'm gonna let him do him, alright? I mentally flinched at the word, hearing it ring in my heart. However, as Damien turned and sat down on the edge of the bed, I watched as he led outside before starting to eat. I guess the choice was fully going to be his own, whether I liked it or not. I don't mind it. It's his choice. My character minds it, but I personally no. I would not. No, it's not my choice. I have no say. It's his life. Wait in silence until he left for his training, and I headed for my own. Never had I felt such strain and worry pull at my heart until that moment. I needed to work it out. I slowly became more comfortable with the sword and began to do more tricks. I became more agile, more aware of my surroundings, and I continued to slice through the dummy I decided to call Mal. I don't know why, but the name felt right for it. I pulled myself from the training grounds to the gates and through the castle doors. The interior was dark, yet the warm, ever-burning fires that served as lights illuminated the corridors, eased my ability to navigate through the winding halls. The walk was peaceful and quiet on the way to my destination, until I heard a familiar laughter tear through the walkway. Oh, it's Simon!
Simon! Get back here, Simon!
I barely had the chance to turn around and see a small white critter run past me, followed by a pair of fluffy dark-haired heads in a mad chase. What's going on? Like a whirlwind, I practically spun around in place as Matthew and Noren rushed past me, trying not to collide into me while maintaining a pursuit of their furry friend Simon Tabby.
Sorry!
Before I managed to shake off the dizzy spell I was under, Noren and Matthew had vanished into a nearby room, where I assumed they had chased their furry quarry. Holding my head to steady myself, I jumped at the multitude of clangs and thuds emanating from the room before the sound ceased altogether. I tiptoed towards the door and peeked in, chasing my curiosity. Inside, Matthew and Noren surrounded the fluffball Simon on the war room table, gripping onto each side of the table and glaring hard at their target. They looked as if they were generals with how they stared down at the critter that pulled out nations beneath his feet. Noren broke the silence, wearing her best coaxing smile.
Come on, Simon. Let's go back to the room, yeah?
I don't think he's doing it. Matthew, not as patient as his wife, jumped onto the table and clasped both hands around Simon, grinning as Simon made a surprise squeak.
Gotcha!
A triumphant grin stretched across Matthew's face as he started to relish in his success. Noren smirked but dropped her expression as she quickly turned wide-eyed and frantic.
Wait, he still has the...
Ow! Ow!
His little knife. The glint of tiny steel told me more than enough. Matthew momentarily forgot that Simon wielded a knife. It was blunt, meant as a toy imitation, yes, but in the paws of Simon it was more than enough to hurt. Matthew released his grip from Simon, clutching his hand and hissing in pain as Noren swiftly placed his former hold on the doll. She lunged across the table, wrapping her hands around the toy's torso and trapping Simon's little arms between her fingers, rendering his weapon useless.
Didn't think of that, did you, Simon?
Simon, deflated, was pool of defeat before becoming still in Noren's hands, turning into a doll once more. With the sigh, Noren and Matthew finally eased and collapsed on the table, shutting their eyes from exhaustion.
Finally, we can relax.
Yeah. Jeez, that took forever.
Noren rolled onto her back on the table and stared at the ceiling, bringing Simon to her chest and letting out another tired sigh. Matthew chuckled lightly before lying beside her, doing the same. It was rare to see either of these two without their usual buzz of excitement. Noren lazily laid her arm across Matthew's face in an attempt to run her hand through his hair, to which Matthew returned the gesture with an exaggerated plop of his hand on her face to caress her cheek. Laughter spilled out from them, their contagious chuckles making it hard for me to stifle the bubbly giggles rising at my throat. I held back my laugh, biting my lip with a wide smile. Even when they looked exhausted, I couldn't help but feel light and giddy from watching them. Noren always seemed to be bursting with energy whenever she fluttered around the other wives and I, eager to embark on adventures, whether it be across the world or to a nearby diner at 3 in the morning. Yet I knew there were moments when her waves of energy ebbed, just like now. Despite those times, she was a master at quick quips and one-liners that it seemed only Matthew could keep up with her with his own wit and creative power. They were perfect friends, so aligned and in sync that it was easy to see them as husband and wife. Noren's eyes lit up as a flash of inspiration dawned on her. She smirked and turned to look at Matthew with a quirked brow.
So, when is Simon going to have a suitor?
Huh?
Simon having a girlfriend? Or suitor? What? Simon's a boy, right? Matthew looked over her in mixed shock and fear, while Noren held back a laugh in her cheeks at his expression. Matthew shook his head violently.
No way. There's no way I'm gonna give him another reason to run around and go crazy, and give us another doll like that to deal with.
What? Oh, come on! Imagine the fun of designing his new friend. All the little details, from the color of its eyes to the fluff of its fur. Plus, think of all the adventures they'd have together. So much fun that it might even distract Simon from messing with us.
This is adorable. Like, we get to see the other views of other couples. This makes me kind of sad because we don't have that many with Damien right now.
Well, I mean, I guess you're right, but...
Matthew brought a hand to his chin, so he looked deep in thought over the suggestion. She looked on expectantly, waiting for his final answer before her eyes caught his hand shifting over his mouth to hide his growing smirk. Noren gave a toothy grin to Matthew before gently pinching and pulling his cheek.
Come on, one more go at a living toy. And look, you're smiling too. You totally wanna.
Matthew stuck out his tongue and threatened to lick Noren's hand to gross her out, and release her grip on his cheek. She flinched but remained resolute, nearly laughing at his attempt and teasing his face harder. I bit my lip to stop myself from laughing, but in watching the two struggle for the upper hand made it hard to not imagine if they were like this all the time. It even became apparent to me that Noren actually dominated the relationship with Matthew following her, and not surprisingly, Matthew seemed to enjoy that, peppering in his own competitive bursts and challenges to her allegiance.
You think a little spit will scare me?
Alright, I'll do it, okay?
Satisfied, Noren finally released her hold on his cheek. She smiled at her husband before flopping down with her back against the table, breathing out a contented sigh.
I love you. You know that, right?
Matthew took a moment to rub his cheek before looking down at her with a grin of his own, leaning down and kissing her nose and making her sputter and widen her eyes.
Of course I do. You know I love you, right, Noren?
That's adorable. You guys stop. A mere second passed between them before Noren wrapped her arms around Matthew's neck and pulled him down, locking her lips to his and making him flail from losing his balance. Luckily, he planted his hands on the table. I was going to say table for some reason. That's weird. That's a weird accent. Table beside her head, so he didn't crush her. Matthew relaxed in the kiss and closed his eyes, melting into it before Noren's arms relaxed and let him pull away slightly to look into her eyes. They stared at each other with goofy smiles as each of them began to blush a cute pink color.
I know you do, Matthew. I couldn't live without your warm hugs or your dorky face. You're the best.
I'm pretty sure you're the best. I don't know how you did it. Waiting for me and looking for me for so long.
Aww.
The first 6 times were hard, yeah, but I'd definitely spend another 9 searching for you.
This is adorable. Why are we watching them? This is making me sad because I want this with Damien. Like, come on now. My heart ached as well, nostalgic for the sorely missed normal that we had in the human world, but smiled at the sight of them curled up in one another's jackets. I only heard bits and pieces from them, but what I've pieced together, I could tell that their first meeting wasn't as Matthew and Noren. It's quite interesting. Alright. Oops, I saved in the wrong slot. Oh well, whatever. But that's gonna be it for today's episode. Hope you guys are enjoying this so far. We got to learn that Damien could be actually turned to a human, but there is a risk of him dying. And we're observing other couples. I feel like eventually my character is gonna feel quite sad because we're not spending as much time with Damien. But Damien has to have his training, and we have to have our training. Blah 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 blah. But that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. Stay beautiful. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.